I am sure you have seen at least one video of someone whose routine consists on waking up at 5 a.m. or is trying it out. Well, I am Leseth, and during last year I was part from what you can call the 5 a.m. club. So let me tell you about my experience and what I learned. So let me put you in a bit of context. Between September of 2024 and June of 2025, I woke up almost daily at 5 a.m. I also went to sleep at 10 p.m. so I had my 7 hours of sleep. Therefore, I don't consider it was unhealthy nor obsessive. But I no longer do that. So why did I have this routine back then? Well, I was a third year student that year, and on top of the classes I was already taking that were for third year students, I was overly ambitious and I decided to take on top of my third year classes what is known as the hardest course in my degree, which is reserved for fourth year students. So I was taking the 6 classes I was required to take because of my year and 1 class that was for fourth year student. My degree is very time consuming. You have to read a lot and study a lot. So this class on its own was taking me 3 hours per day, and the other classes in a good day would take me 4 to 5 hours. So let's say that in an optimistic day I would spend 7 hours studying. Now here's the thing, I am a morning person and I had classes during the morning. This means that when I came back from class it was 3 p.m. and for my brain it was basically impossible to study in an effective way at that hour. My productivity is so bad during afternoon. I can't study. So basically my productivity was at its worst. I believe that from the 24 hours a day has, my most productive self is during the morning, especially before going to class. If I can do some work before going to class, then it feels as if I haven't done it at all. And that was good for someone who was studying 7 hours per day to feel that they weren't studying 7 hours per day. So here's what I decided it was the most logical to do. It wasn't the amount of hours that I was studying that would tire me or make me less productive. It was the hour I was studying. So my solution was simply to wake up earlier and go to sleep earlier. Therefore, I began waking up at 5 a.m. and go to sleep at 10 p.m. I do think it's something worth giving it a try if you think it can work for you. So let me tell you what I learned from this experience. Productivity speaking, does it work? Absolutely. But I do believe there are 2 criteria for this to work. First, you need to be a morning person. And second, you need to sleep either way. I think a lot of people think that this 5 a.m. routine is insane because they think that a person who wakes up at 5 a.m. goes to sleep at 11 p.m. or later. If you don't have 7 to 8 hours of sleep a day, it really doesn't make sense to wake up at 5 a.m. because you will not be productive. I think it's only a healthy lifestyle if you sleep. And also, really, there's no point in waking up at 5 a.m. if your most productive hours are afternoon, night. So basically waking up at 5 a.m. only works if your circadian rhythm is made for it. There's really no point in waking up that early if you're night owl. That's just performative. I believe there's something really relaxing about waking up that early when almost no one is awake yet. And as the whole point of waking up at 5 a.m. is being productive, I do think that waking up at 5 a.m. made me my most productive self. And if you're a person whose computer or phone is full of notifications the moment they wake up, I do think that waking up at 5 a.m. is something really useful because it helps you settle for the day and have a slow morning before the chaos arrives. Also, another thing I learned is that yes, a day has 24 hours, but waking up at 5 a.m. makes it feel like if you have more. For example, if I woke up early to study or to work out or to go running, these things usually take time. But when I finished them, it was barely 8 a.m. So it feels like time hasn't passed at all. Also, I think that the whole concept of waking up at 5 a.m. makes you more disciplined and feel more productive, because let's be honest, most of us would prefer to wake up later. So when you really get to wake up at that hour, you feel more disciplined. Another thing I did not expect, and in which in a way it makes a lot of sense, is that my meals would change. I woke up at 5 a.m. I had breakfast at around that hour, and at 10 a.m. I was really hungry, so I had to have another breakfast. But that makes sense. If you wake up at 8 a.m., at around 1 p.m. you're having lunch, which is 5 hours. But at 10 a.m. I was in class, so it's not like I could just have lunch at that hour. So I just had the breakfast. And well, at 1 p.m. I had my lunch. I don't think eating between hours is something unhealthy if you don't eat junk food or snacks. So I don't think having more meals was a health issue. I do think it was an economic issue though. And also, here's the thing, you need to be very very careful about the caffeine you take and when you take it, and also the meals, because it's really easy to be done for the day at 3 p.m. because you feel tired. Take me for example. At that time, I avoided caffeine, so I cannot blame it on that, but my nutrition was not the best. So when I came back from classes at 3 p.m., I was destroyed. I had to take a nap. But now in my defense, let me tell you that this happened to me either way. I woke up at 5 a.m. or like 9 a.m. So it was really a nutrition problem. Also, another thing I noticed is that the success of adopting this kind of routine depends a lot if you are in summer or in winter. In a lot of countries, 5 a.m. in winter is pitch black. That can be seen from two perspectives. On one side, you're waking up before the day starts, so you have this advantage. Basically, you're ahead of the day. On the other hand, it can feel still like night and therefore make it really hard to wake up. It's not as hard to get yourself out of your bed if it's already morning, which is the case usually in summer. This also applies to going to sleep early if you need to wake up at 5 a.m. In winter, it may be easy to go to sleep at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. as in most countries at that hour is already dark. At least in mine, from 6 p.m. it's dark. But in summer, at least in my country, 9 p.m. there's still sunlight outside, and 10 p.m. sometimes is not pitch black. So it does feel like you're cutting your day short. And I can say that by experience because I quit having this routine when summer started. But here's the thing, I used to be part of the 5 a.m. club and I acknowledge it has a lot of benefits, so why aren't I part of it anymore? The reason is there's really no point in having that routine anymore. Last year I was really busy and I began waking up early as a way to make the best of my most productive hours before I got sleepy. But this year it's different. This year, to be honest, I have a lot of free time. So if I wake up at 5 a.m. I usually have my to-do list completely done by 6:30. And 6:30 is still really early. It's not even the hour I usually wake up. If my concern is finishing my to-do list before going to class, if I wake up at 7 or like 6:30, I already finish it before going to class. So if I wake up at 5 a.m., I have everything done by 6:30, and then what I do next? I just spend the time doing stuff like scrolling on social media, watching shows, or basically nothing that really needs me to wake up that early. But if the circumstances change, really busy again, and I need to make the most of my productive hours, would I wake up again at 5 a.m.? Yes, I would, because it works for me, but it may not work for you, and that's okay. Waking up at 5 a.m. is not a secret recipe to productivity, and this is basically what I learned while being part of the 5 a.m. club. And what about you? Have you ever considered joining the 5 a.m. club? Have you done it? Let me know about your experience and opinions in the comments, and thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, and see you in the next video. Thank you!